Ayuskama Ayurveda Rishikesh offers short 6-day courses, and I and my wife, we've just finished the Ayurvedic Cooking and Nutrition one. Overall, I think that this course is very useful for Gora that do not know how to cook Indian food. However, if you are Indian or have got a good knowledge of how to cook Indian food, you should think twice. Why? So the first 3 days, they were helpful for everybody. Basic Ayurveda knowledge was explained really well. I think that it was done in a way that it brought the concepts to life. Dr. Vinod is very knowledgeable and he's able to break it down in a way that you can actually understand and relate to. It gives you that basic theory, that basic background of Ayurveda, and pulls the strands together so that you're going to be able to probably judge in future the snake oil merchants from the real deal. I think that's really valuable, and it's given me a platform to build on when understanding Ayurvedic medicine, Ayurvedic treatments, and also Ayurvedic cooking. It means that now when I read these books on Ayurveda, I listen to the talks, I attend anything, I've got this as a solid base to build off. That's really valuable. I think that unless you've got that really strong knowledge of Ayurveda, those 3 days are incredibly valuable. Go there, take notes, they'll provide you with a book. That's really good, and that was really value for money. However, then comes the next 3 days. Instead of getting these 2 to 2.5 hour sessions with Dr. Vinod, you get the same length of time, but in the kitchen with the chef. So, what goes on there is you're sitting there while the chef is doing the cooking. Each day you'll have 2 basic teas that they'll do, and they'll choose something like roti or sabji or dal, the basic of the basic of the basic Indian cooking. So do you know how to cook sabji? Do you know how to cook dal? Can you make basic tea? If so, you're not going to get anything really out of the class in the way that it's structured. So if you just sit there and listen, you'll be taught these things. However, if you want to stand up and speak and ask questions and say, okay, you just talked here about amchur, dried mango powder, and how that's good with pumpkin. Well, why? How does this apply to other vegetables? When would you use it? When would you not? Tell me more about this. Now that, if you're willing to go the extra mile there and ask these questions, the chef does have answers. That is where the value for my wife and I, we were able to extract it. But the course is not set up that way to just give that to you. You've got to be proactive and you've got to ask the questions. Considering the small class size, it was possible for us to get that extra information, but that's not always going to be possible for a larger class size. So that means that overall, I think that if you don't know how to cook Indian food, you'd get a lot of value out of those 3 days. But if you do, the value that you get very much depends on you. And the course isn't really built around giving you that value. So that's not going to be reliable. The other thing as well that you need to consider is communication. So the way that the Ayuskama Ayurveda Rishikesh offers is a lot of things seem to be decided last minute. So take, for example, the course that we did. We were told the day before what the schedule was going to be, because what they want to do is make sure that based on the demand and the people that are asking for courses, they'll rearrange the doctor's schedule, people's schedules, they'll create it so that what's being offered matches with what people want. And I get that. That means that if someone comes, they want a course, they can provide a course. But the downside of that means that things are not so predictable. So it means that you've got to be on the ball for communication. You've got to raise issues immediately. You've got to talk about these sorts of things. So while this didn't happen to me, some of the other people that we were talking to had issues like, the number of hours that they were meant to be taught not fully matching up to the number of hours overall. Or a teacher just didn't show up in the morning and the reception desk didn't know about it. And you're going to have some issues with communication, with scheduling, and if you've got patience and you're willing to deal with that, that's good. You'll be able to get through okay. If not, then you're taking a bit of a risk. For us, we didn't hit major issues with scheduling or anything like that. We had no problems. While it was it was last minute, trying to go and find out where things were going to be and what was going to happen. We had to push to go and find out scheduling times. Overall, we didn't hit major problems, but that wasn't true of everyone else that was there on different courses. So you've got to have to think about that when you sign up to Ayuskama. Overall, it was a good experience and value for money for us because we were able to go and push, to go that extra mile, to get that extra information that we were coming there for. That was what really did it for us. Overall, 7,000 rupees for me, 7,000 rupees for my wife, that was money well spent. The consultation fee for us as well, that was money well spent for me. My wife is going to have a consultation later on. Essentially with the consultation, if you pay extra, you'll get that. And what the doctor does, it's a regular Ayurveda consultation. And he knows his stuff. So he'll talk to you, listen to your symptoms, he'll ask you questions, do pulse diagnosis, give you basic lifestyle advice, medicine if required. He'll go and tell you what you should get. It's the normal. But he does know his stuff, so that was good. If you're wanting extra materials, for example, the readings from the course that you aren't on, you can do that, but they do charge. And also in terms of the food, overall my wife and I, not too impressed with it, but that's also because we like to eat at the right time for us, according to Ayurveda. It's a bit ironic that their meal times doesn't align with what they're actually teaching. The food wasn't what we were hoping for, so we didn't eat there. We didn't get accommodation there either. Those two are options that they have available. If you're Gora, like a Westerner, you'll probably quite enjoy it. A lot of the people that were there were saying that the food was good. It just wasn't what we were looking for, and that's fine. We stayed at a hotel 5 minutes walk down the hill, and we had no problems. Bear in mind, if you do sign up to a short course, because it's only a 2.5 hour a day commitment, you're going to want to go and make sure that you've got other things as well that you're doing around Rishikesh. I reckon that overall, this experience was worth it for us. We've had a good experience, but I wouldn't go and do it again myself because I know how to do basic Indian cooking. What would have been more valuable to me is a course where I got the basics of Ayurveda and then I got the basics of, say, the spices, the cooking, but the theory side of it because I can cook. So overall, it was a good experience, and if you are a Westerner watching this video, I'd recommend it for you to go to Ayuskama Ayurveda Rishikesh and do the Ayurveda cooking course. Just be careful on the communication side. And if that would be a big issue for you, then I'd consider looking elsewhere. But on the other side of the equation, I have looked at a lot of places, and this was the best one that I found. That doesn't mean that there isn't a better place out there. So do your due diligence and do your research.